build it and have it set to just turn on, power up upon AC. So I just ship them out pre-configured with a remote desktop or whatever on it. They plug it in on the other side. It pops up on my screen and off to the races. And, they've got them with multiple gig Ethernet ports and all kinds of stuff.
You and I should compare notes on that. Here, I see the stream is live. Let me like and share the stream. We should compare notes on that. I've bought a couple of small computers last year that were two network ports, favorably priced, but the BIOS that came with it could not be set to power up upon return of power.
That's wild. I mean, I've never run into that.
They offered an alternate BIOS load if you wanted to download it. But they kind of implied you're taking your chances.
Yeah. Mm. See, what I've been doing, what I've been doing, which is great, is that we use wide orbit streaming or whatever they're called now, and they have their software encodes multiple streams, and so they have the ones that are going out to them, and then I have a second encoder that just feeds a local, an IceCast server on the machine, and I have these little puck computers with pre-programmed VLC and Axia network drivers in them. And so I can put 4 stations on each device and it monitors the audio. I've got Pira and VLC pulling in the audio off of the streams. And, so that way I get an alarm anytime a stream goes silent or a stream fails or whatever. I just have one of these boxes at each market that just locally connect to the streams so I can see, because we're having an issue where, the audio would fail or the stream would go down and it'd be a while before I'd get alarmed and, to let me know that there's an issue. And so this immediately triggers an alarm if it loses, like if the computer reboots, anything like that, it'll lose the connection and fire off an alarm. And it's, these little $100 pucks. They're great.
And by the way, the puck that Telos chose, we call it a mini or a micro computer. It's really high quality. It's a metal
There are
case.
some that are really, there are some that are really amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've been just super impressed with this one. Okay.
They've been great for us. I mean, use them for all kinds of things.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to.
Kirk, we ought to probably see about when the thing is released is to get Chris a one of the Zephyr Extremes. Let him play with it.
Absolutely. That's a great idea.
I'm always up for playing with stuff. Catfish will tell you that.
Actually, I think you mean, I think you meant to say Zephyr Connect.
Zephyr Connect. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What did I say?
I knew what he meant.
Yeah. Zephyr Connect.
Got one more share to make here. Okay. And post. Okay. Let me grab a piece of paper off the printer. Right back.
Nope.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Zephyr 2000.
By the way, do you know why we call this new product Zephyr Connect? Resurrecting the Zephyr name?
No.
Because you gotta use it or you lose it.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
It's been a while since we had a new product with the name Zephyr attached to it.
Right.
So now we have one.
Boy, but that's almost every week somebody sends in wanting to buy the Zephyr domain name. Oh, I'll pay any amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
And when we tell them the price in very round numbers, they go, oh.
So what have we said? Because one guy sent in, he said he'd pay up to $10,000, and I thought, well, that's probably nowhere near what we would want.
Yeah, that's not even close.
I heard a figure literally 15 years ago, and it was many multiples of that.
Really? Wow.
What number can we set that's not $10 million, but would still make people go away?
Right. What's that? I call it the go away price.
It's the go away price. Okay, let's get started here. Here we go. Let's see. The signage is correct. Oh, I need to turn that sign on. There we go. It's blue. It's beautiful. And we can also get it a little bit better in frame. And there we go. All right. Yay. Speaking of zip ones, I have one right here. Mine is just set up for test mode. All it does is if you call it with Lucy Live, it'll answer and send your audio right back to you. So you know it works. All right, this is episode 741. Hi, everybody watching live on the network. Glad you're here on this, what turns out to be in Nashville anyway, a gorgeous weather day. It is absolutely beautiful. All right, let's get started. Got my Telos Alliance drink in hand, and we're ready to go. Suncast is at the controls, and Chris and John are standing by. So we'll start the show in 3, 2. Hey, welcome into This Week in Radio Tech, the show where we talk about everything from the microphone, to that light bulb at the top of the tower. I'm Kirk Harnax. Delighted that you're here. It is, it's getting close to, is it spring yet? Was spring March 21st? Was that the day? Maybe so. Anyway, it feels good. It's a beautiful day here in Nashville. Wish I could be spending it outside, but here I am with you. Glad that you're here. And now that you know the weather report for Nashville, Tennessee, let's go up north to Mukwonago, Wisconsin, where Chris Tarr is standing by with his finger in the wind. Chris?
I am here.
Oh, God.
I'm here in my mess. You can see all the boxes I'm trying to clean, and I just put a new computer in, and I've got a new 3D printer behind me there. And so it's mess day here in the office. But I am here in beautiful Wisconsin, where we like to call springtime psycho time. It's yesterday was... It's like 58 now. It's going to get to 70 tomorrow, then 42 the day after that. So it's right in that point where, like, they're battling it out. Every day is like, are it going to be 70 or is it going to be 30? We'll have to see, the rain and then snow. So anyway, glad to be here, taking a break from all of my travels. I was up till 3 or 4 o'clock this morning working on some stuff up in Reedsburg, Wisconsin. And, I did find out, I got some good intel here that the Quick Trip in Wisconsin Dells brings out their fresh round of morning donuts at 2 a.m. And I'll tell you that made my entire trip.
Well, how fresh are they then by 7?
I don't care. At 2 o'clock, they were fantastic.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure they continue to bring them out because they get waves of people, but I was, sitting there grabbing some coffee, and I look, and there's the donut cart with fresh donuts. I'm like, oh, yes. Perfect end to this day.
Are they made in store, or are they bringing them in on a truck?
No, they're made in store.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Lovely. Lovely. All right. Well, Chris, we've got a great show. It's a repeat guest, but not a repeat show. How about that? Ladies and gentlemen, my colleague, and I'm so honored to call him my colleague, and that is John Bissett is with us. John, welcome, and it's great to see you.
Hey, Kirk, how are you? Well, I'm doing my Barry White voice today. I got a little bit of I don't know what it is, something going around, but I should be able to make it through the hour, and glad to be here.
Well, it's good to see you, and it seems like I just saw you because on Monday. This past Monday evening, John and I and our mutual friend Roger Gaither all had dinner together in near Charleston, South Carolina, at a little kind of like a hole in the wall, but a nice hole in the wall called Easterby's, and they sell they cook up home style, I guess, seafood, and what it was mostly seafood, wasn't it? Maybe chicken.
That's correct. Like that. Yeah, I think they had chicken and steak on the menu, but no, if you go there, you want the seafood. It was outstanding, really good.
And they had quite a special. I mean, we all three of us ate, with a tip and with iced tea and everything for under $70, and for a nice big family style place, it was good. They have whatever you want as long as it's fried. That's what.
But did they have fresh donuts, Kirk? That's what I want to know.
No, they did not have fresh.
Well, there you go.
But they had that pie, Kirk.
Yeah, they had pie.
They had the key lime pie. Yeah. I had 3 different kinds of shrimps on one plate. Yeah.
It was amazing.
All good.
All right, I'm hungry.
John had collard greens. After I saw those, I did. I want some of those. Yeah. Well, all right. Hey guys, today we're gonna right after our first commercial break, we're gonna buzz through quite a lot of material. John, for people who don't know, what is it, John Bissett, that preps you so well to give rapid fire engineering tips on this show?
I guess, Kirk, what it is I've always been curious as an engineer, and I think a lot of us are that way. But when I'm looking at things, it's always like, well, could somebody else learn from this? And I've been very fortunate to fall into a lot of opportunities where people can learn from them, myself included. And so, whenever I'm roaming around a radio station or out and about, I'm always looking for things that may be useful for other people, as we're going to see today.
All right. All right. I've turned in a tip or two to you over the years. Chris Tarr, if you haven't, man, here's a guy that will publish your tip and give you full credit. And I know, Chris, you're full of good ideas.
I may have once. Yeah, I think I have.
Yes, you have, Chris. And remind people, too, that, it counts for your SBE certification or recertification credit. So, not only do you get yourself printed in the radio world, but you get these recertification credit for your SBE certification. So every 5 years, hey, you get one tip in at least,
Hey, and just to make sure we cross the T's and dot the I's, John is the author of the column called Workbench that's in every issue of Radio World magazine. Is that every 2 weeks, John?
Every 2 weeks, yes, sir.
Okay.
It's every issue, and lots of great stuff in there. And what's really kind of neat, Kirk, could take 30 seconds to tell people. I get a lot of engineers that say, "Oh, everybody knows that. I'm not going to send that in." No, we've got so many new people that are coming into the industry, and they don't all know it. Us older guys may know it, but the younger ones don't. So, if you've got a tip or something that, it has really been helpful for you, send it on in. And let me be the judge if nobody knows it. I think you'll be surprised. It'll end up in the pages of Radio World.
We will make sure we have your contact information for submitting tips for Workbench in the show notes of today's show. So watch for that when the show is published. And I'm never sure when we have John on as a guest here on TWiRT, if we're either getting some of his top recommended tips over the last few months since the last time we had him on, or if we're getting the real bottom of the barrel of things that just weren't worth publishing.
Well, here's the other thing, Kirk, is we have this whole thing with his tips for the entire hour, and you come back like you do every episode and go, "What's your tip of the week?" It's like the whole show was tips.
The whole show is tips.
The whole show is the tip of the week.
Well, Kirk, it's kind of neat because it's a cornucopia of tips, old ones, new ones. In fact, a couple that we're going to share today haven't even been published yet, but they will be. So your viewers are going to be in for a treat seeing something before it shows up in the pages of Radio World.
Cornucopia. There's a word I haven't heard since Thanksgiving. Although I must say, if you remember the Dave Letterman show, it's a word that he used frequently. Cornucopia.
Yes, sir.
All right.
That's right.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come, plethora, yeah, that too. Thank you for using that word, John. It means a lot. We're going to be right back with John's and tips of the week. Lots of tips from his Workbench show. And we're going to take a quick break and hear from my good friend Ricky Lee from air.com. Hey, it's Kirk Harnack, and I'm here with Ricky Lee, the CEO of Air. Ricky, you guys make a fantastic automation system, but streaming is a really big deal. Tell me about streaming with Air.
It really is. We've got a beautiful streaming platform with an incredible dashboard with fantastic analytics. And you can buy it for just $20 a month. All you can eat. No limits on bandwidth or bit rates. And you can also record shows as well. So if you like to deliver on-demand content for $20 a month, you can stream and deliver that on-demand content to an RSS feed that can feed your radio player, your mobile apps, or a podcast that people can download and enjoy.
Now, $20 a month, that must be for just some slow MP3, right?
No, MP3, AAC, and we also now support HLS, which is big in the industry right now.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. How do I start to explore or find out more about streaming through Air?
You go to air.com, AIIR.com/streaming. And from there, with a credit card, you can sign up and get started.
Thanks a lot, Ricky Lee, Dave Brierley Jones, and everybody at air.com, AIIR, for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. All right, we're going to get right to it. We got a bunch of pictures and tips and ideas to share about engineering, doing your job, doing it better. John, shall we just start with the pictures and let you talk about it?
Why don't we start off with the first one? Yeah, that would be great.
All right, Suncast. What do we got here? Oh,
well, this looks like just regular labeling tape, right? This is the coolest thing. Well, it's actually folded heat shrink. You can buy these cartridges now to go in your Brother P-Touch, and it's actually heat shrink, and it comes in two different diameters, and you can print on it. So you remember how we used to use the either handwriting and wrapping the adhesive around, and it would get all gooey, and the writing would get blurred, and you couldn't read what it was, or we used the little pressure sensitive labels, and they would always fall off. Can't do that with heat
Mm-hmm.
shrink. Heat shrink's going to stay there until you cut it off. And this is my friend Roy Becker from Bible Broadcasting Network. He sent this along, and it's a really neat idea. It's like, who didn't think of this earlier? It's so you plug this little cartridge in the Brother P Touch, and you type whatever you want the label to say, and it'll print the label out for you. You slip it on the wire, heat shrink it down, and you're ready to roll. So just a really neat take on something that we've always been looking for ways to improve our labeling for wiring and things like that, and doing something like this just really makes a lot of sense.
Who makes the tape? Is it Brother or somebody else? Third party?
Brother, but you can find them. Several different companies have them on Amazon, so you just go to Amazon and you'll find it there.
Okay, I'll find some. We'll put links in the show notes. Chris, this is amazing. I mean, I know how to use a Brother P Touch. I've never actually used one of those Bradley machines before. What do you think about this, Chris?
That's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, and two different diameters. So okay, well that'll probably fit 90% of what I would need to do. Wow, great idea. All right, next picture. Here it comes. Here it comes. What's it going to be? Ah, there it is.
This is a good example of why you need to go to your transmitter site on a regular basis. The flashing is torn off the building, and what's going to happen now is water's going to get in there. It's going to leak, and you're just going to have a mess on your hands. So, Kirk, I think the biggest problem engineers run into are, you're going to the transmitter site to take a nap or to wash your car or something like that. No, you're going to the transmitter
that's
site.
what I do. That's what I do.
Is it really? Well, the point is that if you're not going on a regular basis to just do a walk around inspection, it's really important to do that, especially with winter coming to an end, except up in Wisconsin. But you still want to go around, take a look at what's at the site, making sure that there's no opportunity for either water or animals to get inside your building.
So let me see if I got this straight. Chris, back me up here. Are you saying that maybe these two pipes that go in the building through that mess of filler junk there, that may have been done when the engineer was not around and the engineer didn't get over to check on it for a while, and that is really
I think really what the picture is portraying is the flashing underneath coming loose. Where the pipes go in, yes, it's a mess, and it probably should be pulled out, and you put some new I don't know, duct seal or something in there. But you see how the flashing is bent and how it's flipped up like that. I mean, that's going to cause a problem with water, especially in the months of April with showers. I mean, you just don't want those kind of problems. So you want to take a look around, just make sure. And maybe it's been like this forever, and you don't have to worry about it. Oh, well, it's not a problem. But just keep an eye on things when you're going around your building to look at little things like this.
Yeah, and I don't like the fact that there's no drip loop there. So the water that hits those flex conduits is going to come right up against that putty.
It's like, let's run it right into the building, right?
Well, at least they got enough putty on there to retract the water for prevent the water from coming in.
We hope so.
That's why there's so much putty. But, that's what they're saying. We puttied it up. It's not going in.
Okay. All right. So there's at least two bad things going on there. At least two. Okay.
And I guess, Kirk, while we're at it too, and this goes into this next picture here, is the air conditioning maintenance. Yeah, you want to make sure that those air conditioners are serviced on a regular basis. I mean, you're depending on them to keep the building cool. And the key here with the picture that we just saw with the air conditioning fins is to make sure that those are not clogged with a lot of debris. That is what is going to determine the efficiency of your unit. And if something has come and bent those fins all up, or you've got a lot of leaves or dirt in there, your air conditioner is not going to work properly.
Chris, it seems like I watched a YouTube video on this. You can buy aerosol cleaners, the
Yes.
kind of have the, that are purported. If you don't have water available, you can spray this stuff in there and they'll kind of drip down and pull some dirt with it. They also have them that you should follow up with water. Chris, do you have sites that have water, and of course sites that don't have water? How do you clean stuff at a site with no water?
Yeah, most of my sites don't. But what I do is I bring, you get those sprayers from the hardware store. I fill them up with water, grab a couple of them, and that's what I use to spray it down. Usually I'll bring two, one with I'll bring two just to be safe. But then I'll either already pre-mix one with some solution to do some cleaning, and they do make special solutions for this type of thing where you just spray it on there and it does most of the work, and then you just kind of rinse it all off. You don't really need clean water to clean it. You're just basically rinsing away all the, whatever's left over. But it's a pretty quick and easy job, and you'd be surprised how many people don't do that on a regular basis. They just, as long as the air conditioning's working, it's out of sight, out of mind, and then you get clogged up, especially in our area. We have a lot of cottonwoods, and they just get sucked right into that. And so I remember at Intercom, our offices there, I would, when the cottonwoods were shedding, it was once a week. I was out there, hosing down the condensers.
I'll give a little tip myself to remember to do such things around my house. Like I've got 2 air conditioner outdoor units right behind this wall here. And I actually just put it on my Google Calendar. Forevermore, about every 3 months, go check them and clean them. Now, honestly, if I miss half the times, I'm still hitting on it twice a year. So they're still getting cleaned, which is a whole lot more than they used to get cleaned before I put it in my Google Calendar to remind me of that. But these perpetual things in Google Calendar can just at least remind you, hey, dummy, you're supposed to do that at least every once in a while. So you can do that for your transport.
It's really a good idea, Kirk. Yeah. And the other thing too is if you don't have the time, find out what an air conditioning service is going to do, to how much they're going to cost to come in and do it, especially if you've got multiple sites. And don't stop thinking about trades. I mean, a lot of these guys want business, and they'll do a trade deal with the station and they'll service all your air conditioners. It won't cost you anything. The general manager should like that. It'll cost them spots, but that's going to be it. So, but having them serviced on a regular basis, a really good idea.
Cool. Has anybody got the most unusual thing that your station has ever traded? Cars.
Oh, jeez. I could go on for hours with that one. That's a loaded question.
Really?
Well, Kirk, it was kind of fun. We used to do it. We had a very generous general manager, and whenever a trade came in, he gave it to everybody. I mean, the shipping clerk got something, the jocks all did, the office management. Just was really neat. I got a microwave oven out of it. It was really pretty cool.
Yeah, I've had owners that have traded for cars, for in fact, when we built many years ago, many previous employers before this one, we built a building almost 100% on trade, and it looked like it. But wow. Yeah.
I heard of a station where the owner traded the funeral for either his wife or himself or something.
Come on, really?
Yeah. But hey, who am I to judge? Not in a good position to judge. All right, let's see. Let's continue with another item or two. What's next there, Suncast?
Well, this is dealing with air conditioning again. If you're not using the pleated air filters, and I'll think of Chris's cottonwood trees here, these things really do a great job. And don't buy them individually. Go to filters.com or a company like that on the internet, and you can buy a box, determine how many you need, what the different sizes are, buy them in bulk. Instead of paying $7 for them at a hardware store, you can get them for $1 or $2 a piece when you're buying 10 at a time. So again, yes, there's going to be an initial cost that's going to be higher, but you're saving the station a lot of money, because if you've got to go out and get them at a hardware store, you're going to just pay through the nose. But these things, especially, I think this is especially true for us when we're not getting to transmitter sites as often as we used to. It used to be, Kirk, when you, Chris, and I first started in this business, we were at one station and everything was right there. And now it's like, in some cases, a couple of dozen stations that guys are responsible for. So, just really important that your visits are not going to be as regular as they might have been at one point. So you want to do everything that you can to make sure that things continue to run well. And having the pleated air filters is a real good way.
Very true. I agree with all that. I buy boxes of pleated air filters for my HVAC units here in the house. And of course, we saw you put the date label was on there. It doesn't hurt to maybe label with the date, but also label it change by. When you're putting it in, put yourself a change by date and then put it in your Google Calendar so that you're reminded of it.
That's it. The Google Calendar comes in handy again, so that you know that you put the filters in. And since we're talking about this, the same is true for UPS batteries or anything that has batteries that you need to change. I think what was the little rule of thumb was on January 1st. That way everybody would remember it. But if you put it in the Google Calendar, it's a good reminder, that you've got to do this. And same thing with batteries. Look through all of the equipment that you've got, determine which types you need, how many you need, and don't buy them onesie twosies. Buy a quantity of them and get the quantity discount.
Mm-hmm.
I've also I found a way too, if you if there's transmitter sites you go to more frequently and you want to save a little bit of money on filters, I buy those huge rolls of fiberglass filter material, and I'll have a regular pleated filter on there. But if especially really dusty seasons, I'll cut off a section of that and put it against the filter. And those are very loose. There's a lot of airflow going through there, but they catch a lot of the bigger things before they hit the pleated filter. And those rolls of filter material they're dirt cheap, and they're great for just anywhere where you might have a little hole or anything you want to just, filter air coming in and out of. They're great for doing that. It's handy to have around for sure.
Also, you're
Chris,
pre-filtering. Yes, the main filter lasts
I'm
long.
sorry. I thought Chris was going to say he just reversed the filter.
Right. Well, it's a little dirty air coming in the other way.
That's right.
Whatever.
What's some cottonwood fibers?
That's right.
Help the transmitter work a little bit better, right?
Yeah, it adds some character. It's like rubbing dirt in when you get hurt. The transmitter has a little dirt rubbed into it.
Exactly.
I will offer this based on my own experience. When you buy filters in bulk, typically they come in a cardboard box. Don't store that cardboard box on the floor of the transmitter site, because that's where moisture at least tends to collect, or maybe downright gets wet, if you've got a leak or something. And it's right there where insects or rodents are crawling around. And so if anything you can do just to get that box, it doesn't weigh anything, and the filters won't go bad unless they get wet or unless they're chewed up by rodents. So you want to get that cardboard box off the ground and just put it on top of something else, or on a top shelf, or suspend it from the ceiling, whatever you need to do just to not have it on the floor.
Absolutely.
All right. We're talking to John Bissett. He is my colleague at Telos Alliance. He's the Western U.S. sales manager, and he's also the author of the Workbench column at Radio World magazine. Comes out every 2 weeks with lots of hints and tips and ideas like that. We got a lot more coming up, including something about streaming computers and some anti-slip tape. I don't know. Cool stuff coming up. I saw pictures, didn't understand it all. John is here to explain, and we'll be right back. I got to do a commercial here though it's for Broadcast Bionics, and they have I tell you, they're going to bring out some new products at NAB. Broadcast Bionics is. So if you're at NAB, be sure you see the Broadcast Bionics booth at NAB. In the meantime, check out this amazing product that lots of people are loving called Camera One.
Camera One from Broadcast Bionics. Designed to bring video to your audio content. Visualizing radio and podcasts for social media. Camera One can automatically create, capture and brand professionally switched video for live streaming or upload, making your production shareable. Control and configure using a web browser on any device. Camera One is available as a 4-camera or 8-camera system using the Blackmagic A10 Mini range, including the A10 Mini Extreme. You can use cameras to suit your studio and your budget. You'll need one camera for a studio wide shot and usually one camera per microphone. A standard multi-channel sound card or IP driver monitors audio from each studio microphone, and we work natively with Axia systems. Ideally, this will be a post-fader feed from each mic, although you can use pre-fade audio or a mic split if that's all you have available. These audio levels are used to intelligently switch the video feed when each contributor is talking. You can also group microphones together into one shot and use the audio from a mixer's aux bus. You can use Camera One's auto switch feature, or disable it and switch using the on-screen buttons or the buttons on the A10. Recordings can automatically start when you tell the system you're on the air. This on-air indication can be linked to your studio's red lights via IP or an Avantec Adam GPIO interface. You can quickly browse all the videos that have been automatically created during your broadcast, download them and post. Camera One is a user-installable system. You'll need a good spec Windows 10 PC, i7 with plenty of storage and 16 gig of RAM. It's better if this machine isn't used for anything else. Remember, you can control the software in a web browser on another device on your network. Camera One, a thrifty way of creating scroll-stopping video from your show or podcast from Broadcast Bionics.
And in keeping with Broadcast Bionics philosophy, they help you make more content, more interactive content, and content for social media by just doing what your talent is doing now. You really don't have to do extra stuff. And it just sits there. It brings stuff up on your screen like in the Bionics Studio, and also camera switching and all that and streaming. All that happens automatically. And you can, of course, get best of clips or those special social media moments to post on your social media and get more engagement with your radio station. Thank you very much, Broadcast Bionics, for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. Hey, it's Kirk Harnack. Chris Tarr is along, and we're talking with the industry's beloved, John Bissett. He's got a frog in his throat today, but that's not stopping him from passing along some great ideas. John, what is next on the hit parade? I guess we should ask Suncast. What's next on the hit parade? Oh, my goodness. Not what I expected.
Oh. Yeah, no, this is pretty cool, Kirk. We've talked in the past about using bubble wrap, especially for us older guys when you got to get down underneath a rack or something like that, and your bare knees are right on that concrete floor. It's terrible. Well, Husky has come out with it's about an 1.5 to 2 inch thick foam pad that is very durable, but it's also very stiff. So it's not going to be flopping around, or it's not going to compress very easily. So when you're doing work outside, or if you're doing work in the transmitter, you're no longer kneeling on the floor. You've got something to cushion your legs and allow you to just work more comfortably. This is a generator service guy, and he brought one along, and he's I got it down there to take care of the generator service. So I think the point here is that we just want to make sure that we're comfortable. And if you don't have it, these things run about $20, so it's not a lot of money, but it's something that is durable. It'll last a long time, and it'll give you the ability to stay comfortable when you're down on the floor doing work, or down on the ground doing work.
What a great idea. The generator guy brings his along with him, but if you've taken care of, 7 or 8 transmitter sites, buy one for each transmitter site. And
well, there you go. Or buy one for yourself and just keep it in the truck and or your vehicle, and bring it along if you want to do that. But yeah, they're cheap enough that you certainly could buy one for each site. And it's yes, it's a creature comfort, but come on now, we're handling all of these stations. We have a right to do it and be comfortable when we're doing it. So,
Chris, along those same lines, is there any particular thing that you always make sure that you have with you, or is at each transmitter site for creature comfort?
I usually have a couple bottles of water, just because even if it's room temperature, you never know what you're going to be doing, or, how long you're going to be there. And, I generally stop and get something to drink, but I usually put, a couple bottles of water, set them high up on the ground. Also in Wisconsin, I always make sure that I carry lock de-icer. I also carry Believe it or not, I carry a chainsaw because a lot of the a battery powered chainsaw, a lot of the places I go are off road. And so therefore, I've run into situations where I can't get up the road because there's a log. So, anything that, emergency wise, I have a first aid kit that I bring, and I actually stock every one of my sites has a basic toolkit and a first aid kit because you're never going to know, again, you need water and you'll need first aid are the two very basic things you're going to need if you're stranded or something else is going on there.
Great idea. Oh, I hadn't thought about the first aid. We have a toolbox at each of our transmitter sites, but we don't have first aid kits. That's a great idea.
They're really affordable, and get them from Amazon.
Yeah, John.
And speaking of Amazon, something else that'd be worthwhile is picking up one of those space blankets. Those are only a couple of dollars. They're very inexpensive. But if you're stuck at a transmitter site and it's cold, to be able to wrap something around you and conserve your heat, those things are not supposed to happen, but sometimes they do. And for a few dollars to have one of those at each one of your sites, not a bad idea at all.
Indeed. Okay. Good idea. Space blanket, like the astronauts have. All right.
There you go.
What's next?
Well, you're going to love this.
Oh.
So let's go to the transmitter site and see what happens when the, I guess it's the compressor blows up and blows oil all over everything.
Ooh, yuck.
What a mess, huh?
Man.
Fortunately, this was facing away from the wall or away from the road. So, it wasn't as ugly as it actually looks, but yeah, it's really kind of a mess. So, these are the sort of things, and your viewers ought to maybe snap some of these photos to show their general manager because these are legitimate problems that have occurred, and these are the kind of things that can take a station off the air. And if the manager just thinks, oh, you've disappeared, I don't know where you are, I don't know why you've gone to the transmitter site, why do you keep going down there? I mean, this is a good example of why. And you're giving them a reason why they're not going to see you, because you're not going to be able to fix or diagnose or even inspect things like this from your office at the radio station. You've got to get out to the sites to do this.
You've shown me a couple of pictures here, John, where the air conditioner outdoor unit was on the roof of the building. And I was trying to think, I don't think any of my sites have it on the roof. It's typically sitting on the ground or, on a pad outside the building, or it's a split unit that's attached to the wall outside. Chris, what's been your experience about air conditioning outdoor units? Do you typically have them on the roof or somewhere else?
It depends. I mean, they're called RTUs because they're rooftop units. So
Right.
It's not uncommon to see them there. Now, in my case, I generally, and you'll certainly see that in larger buildings. And especially, I had a situation where we had a studio building that was pretty big, and we had our rooftop units, but they put them on the ground, and that actually caused more problems than it helped. So it depends on the size of the building. Larger buildings, you're going to see rooftop units because they're huge, and they've got to cover a whole lot of area. And it's not real practical to put them on the ground. But generally, at transmitter sites, you're going to find, those split units or smaller, more traditional compressors with the air handler inside. I'm doing one now. That's a split unit up in La Crosse, where I'm going to put in two lead lag units so that we always have something going. But it's not all that uncommon to see them. It is kind of in transmitter sites because, again, those rooftop units are usually reserved for much larger buildings, which you're not going to find, usually with a transmitter site.
And I just wondered because it looks to me like a rooftop unit mounted on the roof. It's harder to get to, and therefore maybe you're less likely to go check on it if the engineer is responsible for at least looking at the thing from time to time. You're gonna need a ladder out there at the transmitter site.
Yeah, well, in those cases too, what I like to always talk about too is I let my supervisors, bosses know that I'm not an HVAC guy. So I can look at it and tell you that it doesn't look right. But, I wouldn't, even in a situation where it's not a rooftop unit, I'm not going to be working on it. I'll be able to tell if it's working or not working. But once it gets past that, I'll call somebody in who knows what they're doing. And if you have an RTU, most heating and cooling companies will come out and do that. But that also goes for my next point, which isn't always practical, but I found even at small stations like mine, it's, I've convinced the people in charge to do it, is get on maintenance plans with these companies that do these, that do these maintenance tasks. I have it for all my generators, all of my AC units, and they just come out, twice a year, check everything, whether, and anything that looks like it's going to go gets replaced. And that way, even if it's marginal, it's going to get replaced at that time. I'm not going to wait for it to fail. And knock on wood, that has saved me a lot because, I'm not out there fixing it, hoping it's going to work for another week or two or whatever. These are professionals that come out and because it's a contract, they have some skin in the game too. If they come out and it doesn't work, they're out again, and they're out there until it gets fixed. So, that's something that, I recommend a lot of engineers or everybody really, unless you're really an expert at this stuff. It's like, you can work on your car, but should you, if you're not a mechanic? As I made a joke on Facebook the other day about, I'm a dad, I know a little bit about a whole lot of stuff. And I think that describes engineers a lot. And we can dabble in all of this stuff, but that's about it. And I don't want to be liable if I go and say, yeah, I fixed the air conditioner and 3 days later it explodes or something. So that's kind of always been my opinion. Generators and HVAC especially, I'll tell you if it, I can reset it, I can check breakers and fuses, but after that, I'm calling somebody else in.
And Chris,
Gotcha.
that's a real good point. You're bringing up, if you have a maintenance contract with a company and there's an emergency, they're going to come to you first. So, when a tornado blows through or a hurricane blows through, they're going to take care of their customers. They'll eventually get to you otherwise. But if you've got a relationship established with them, and include with that relationship some station coffee cups, T-shirts, and hats and stuff like that, boy, that a long, long way. Even donuts, Chris.
Oh, I know. Some of my, what we do is we have season tickets, several sets of season tickets to Brewers games. And so we will,
neat.
are a lot of the people that work with us for things like this, we take care of them. And I'll tell you what, I've never had a problem. Anytime I needed anything, day or night, they are right there. And, but again, that's where, you make them feel like they're part of it too. I mean, they all know the radio station, they all listen, and, they feel like they're part of the radio station too, that they're an important part, and they are. And I make sure they know that. And so, yeah, it's amazing how, I can call somebody at 2 a.m. For an issue with something like this, and without fail, they are on the way, and they're happy to do it because it's their radio station, and they want to make sure it's fixed. So yeah, take care of them. You find somebody like that. I have my phone full of numbers of people that I have their personal numbers, and they go, yeah, don't bother going through dispatch. I'll take care of that. Just call me if you have a problem, and I'll make sure that I let dispatch know, and I'll get right on it. And you very rarely see that.
No, that is priceless. That's really great.
Gentlemen, this morning on the way to school, I told my son a dad joke, which has to do with the next picture. I said, back in King Arthur's court, which knight was in charge of security? I said, no, Dad. Which knight was in charge of security? I said, Sir Valence.
Jeez.
All right, we have some cameras up next, I think. Maybe if I look. There we go.
There we go. This was kind of cool. These little cameras were really neat. They caught my eye because, as you see from this picture, the light is green, and we go to the next picture, you'll see the light is red. And the idea is that this lets the talent know which camera is actually functional. And these guys now, not only are they worrying about broadcasting their audio, but they got to worry about which way they're facing, and that making sure that they're facing the camera and so forth. This was just a neat little idea that the manufacturer of these cameras came up with. I thought it was a neat one to share with you all.
Oh, it makes sense, especially for PTZ cameras like these. They have a tally GPIO probably, and makes the tally light come on, just like at a real TV station.
In a real
All
TV
right.
station, exactly.
What's next? Suncast. There we go.
This is a neat idea. How many production rooms have a lock on them? You normally have some pretty nice equipment in there, maybe a new good console, and maybe mastering if you're playing LPs or mastering audio into your hard drive system, maybe a really nice microphone or two. And you don't want the weekend guys coming in there and screwing with everything because that's what always happens. So what this engineer did was he put a lock on it, gave the key to the production director. The only guy that can use this room is the production director. And it was just a neat idea to see that, hey, he doesn't have to worry about who's going to come in on the weekend and mess all of his stuff up or play, DJ when the jock's on the air and he's got his kids in there and he wants to let his kids do something, keep them occupied. It keeps them out of this room. So anyway, it was just a neat idea to see.
Now, wait a minute. My boss had me convinced the lock goes the other way, and that once they're in there, so that's not true. It has to be this way. See, now I have a bone to pick now. Oh man.
So he was locking you in the room, huh?
Yeah. Now here, and he told me that's what they do, and I see that it's actually wrong. It's the other way. Go
It's the other way.
All right. What's next on the hit parade?
Well, this was kind of neat. This is down in Miami, where they've got some very serious requirements for meeting electrical standards. And if they come in and inspect and find out that you violated the rules, they'll write you a really nice citation. So what this engineer did was he marked out exactly how far out from the breaker panels the you could have so that you couldn't stack anything. Because come on, we all know the electric closet is where all the storage goes for the remotes and for everything else. Not
Yeah.
down here. And
Truth.
and if you are thinking about storing stuff in here, you've got to steer clear of the yellow the yellow marking. So
Yeah.
it was. I thought this was a really neat idea and a good way of making sure that the promotions department doesn't take over your electric closet and just stack all kinds of boxes and junk in there.
Good idea. And we've got a follow-up picture to that. I think maybe it's a sideways picture, but we'll look and see what's next here. Okay.
Yeah,
Tells-
and what this
it tells
is
you.
just telling you what it is that you've got to keep clear of the electrical panels, and so this was right at the very entrance when you walked in, and the whole idea is that you're protecting the radio station and you're protecting yourself from any kind of violations.
Gotcha. Hey, we're talking to John Bissett. He's got great ideas, things to make your life easier around the radio station as an engineer and the transmitter site and the studio. Chris Tarr is with us, co-host today, and I'm Kirk Harnack. We're delighted to have you with us on our 741st episode of This Week in Radio Tech. We have more coming up, plenty more pictures to run through, but got a break right now. Our friends at Innovonics have a product that I'm proud to say I own one of these. Yeah. Bought it with our own hard-earned money. It's the Innovonics Sophia HD radio. Now, it's FM as well, and it's called the HD Radio Site Streamer. Now, and in our stations, our new stations in Hawaii on the island of Maui, one of our stations is playing HD radio. We've got 4 channels, HD 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we thought we better have a way to monitor these, and we don't have an HD radio mod monitor. Haven't bought one of those yet. Probably should, but we do have the site streamer. Now, it's not a mod monitor, but it does tell you lots of other things about your HD radio and your FM signal that you're going to want to know. It features, you can install the site streamer, of course, within your area of reception, and you can then monitor a station off the air using, listening to the FM or any of the HD signals, even HD 1 through 8. You can tune into it on the web from anywhere and listen to, how does your audio sound? How does the pad data look? The extra data that goes along to title an artist and things like that. It also gives you a readout of the FMRDS data. So FMRDS and pad data. The front panel is easy to use. The folks at Innovonics really have designed that quite well, but so is the remote web interface. That's really easy to use as well. This thing is a half rack package, has that OLED high res graphic display. It's even easy for the general manager to go in there and check something if that needs to happen. And that's happened before. The real time clock has a battery backup. SNMP. Hey, Chris likes this. Woohoo! Fully supported with SNMP inside, so you can check on that with your SNMP software systems. It's got full-time off-air program audio. That's available as left-right analog on the back, also as AES3 digital, and it has Dante-based AES67 AOIP streaming coming out the back as well. So you can remote into it, and you can also get Dante-based AES67 audio out of it. So many cool things you can do with it. Oh, and the web interface, you can have up to 10 listeners at once. So you and the general manager and another engineer and somebody from out of market, you can all tune in and stream at the same time if you need to find out, what your stations are doing, or you want somebody to take a critical listen to it. This is well worth the money. I love this box. We got the AM version as well, because we got 2 AMs on Maui, and we bought this one for essentially for looking at all of our FMs and for our HDs, and we love it. Sophia 568. It lets me check up on things, even when the local talent doesn't quite know what to look for or what to listen for. I can take care of that for them. It's available from Broadcasters General Store at bgs.cc. That's where you want to call or go to the website to get your best price on an Innovonics Model 568 Innovonics site streamer. The folks at Broadcasters General Store will give you a great price. They'll tell you when delivery is. And you know what? If you're one of these people like me, old-fashioned, you love to make a phone call, but you'd like to talk to a person. You don't want to get, a menu tree, right? Call Broadcasters General Store at 352-622-7700. You'll get a person, and that person will be helpful. And if you haven't dealt with BGS before, you ought to try bgs.cc. Thanks a lot, BGS, for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. Chris Tarr is along, and so is John Bissett. John, we should get right to more pictures here. So, Suncast, what is up next on the hit parade? I don't know what we're looking at here.
Well,
John,
this is looking down onto a console, and this is something that actually it started on the TV side of things. So this is a channel that runs along the length of the console tabletop, and the booms, in this case for the televisions or the microphones, can be adjusted back and forth to accommodate different positions. So if we go to the next shot, you can get a better picture of what that looks like.
So now it makes sense.
Okay. So here are the monitors, but if those monitors were mic arms, if you had 2 or 3 positions, mic positions, and you had need to squeeze people in, get them close by or something like that, you'd be able to do that. And, it would allow you to move the actual mic arm itself. What we're all used to is drilling the hole into the countertop, and where it's drilled, that's where it stays. But this is now available by a number of furniture manufacturers for console cabinetry, and just a really neat idea. And it's just this horizontal channel that runs the length of the console, and there's like a lock nut type assembly that the arm actually screws into, and you can turn it clockwise to tighten it down, counterclockwise to loosen it up, move the arm to where you need it to be, and then tighten it back down again.
Looks good. All right. What's next, Suncast?
So, Chris, have you ever had a situation where you've drilled the hole in the wrong place? I'm going to raise my hand for that.
Oh,
The honesty comes out, right?
Yep.
Well, and here's a way to solve that problem. In this case, this station had a bunch of cameras, but each morning show had a different number of guests. So one morning they may have 5 people, they may have 3, they may have 2. And rather than trying to find a place to mount the cameras and hopefully catch everybody, the engineer just decided, hey, we're going to put them on tripods and we'll just adjust them manually to however number of people we've got in the studio for that morning.
Okay. And it looks like they've taken all the accoutrement that goes along with the cameras and cable tied it to a tripod leg, which, could be what you need to do.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Good idea. All right. What's next, Suncast? Skid guard. What's that? John, are you there? Oh, okay.
Having a coughing fit.
Okay. Glad you're back.
Skid guard.
Skid guard safety. It looks like it. Well, this is to go on steps, right? But I'm sure there's other uses
do that.
as well.
Kirk, this is something that you started out with.
Oh yeah, I got it wasn't called skid guard. It was the skid material that you put on your custom skateboard. Not that I'm a skateboarder. I'm not. I actually bought it to improve one's handling on the grip of a firearm, because that's what was suggested to me. Hey, if you want to be able to grab a firearm, and not have your hand slip or your finger slip, cut out pieces of essentially skid guard and apply that to the firearm. And so there's plenty of other uses where, wherever you need a little bit of friction, then this is a good thing to use. Good idea. All right.
Like the mud path that goes up to my transmitter sites.
Yeah. The mud path.
Couple of those across there.
I'm not sure that would help. You might find yourself surfing back down the mud. At least your feet will be well connected. Okay. All right. That's
the key there, Kirk, is that this stuff will prevent things from slipping, including your telephone.
Yes. I put some of this on one of my phone cases that was particularly slippery. Yes.
Oh, that's good thinking.
Yeah.
I like that.
So the idea is that this comes in a roll. You cut off whatever you need, stick it on.
Yeah.
And it just prevents stuff from slipping.
Yep. Good idea. John, I can hear your voice. Sounds like you're having trouble. If you want me and Chris to talk for a while, we'll take a guess at what you. In fact, why don't we go to the next picture and Chris and I will try to guess what it's for.
Oh, this one.
No,
this
is multicolored duct tape. Multicolored duct tape. This is when you get a whole bunch of hostages and you want to remember their names. you assign a color to each person. I'm sure that's where John was going with this.
Well, if you're going to put a wireless mic on your hostages, then you want to put a little color on the wireless mic so you know where it is on the console.
Now, that is actually the real, good legitimate part is, the ID, inputs and cables to the inputs and outputs. That's what I use it for.
Yeah. But I guess John has a different use. So, John? Yeah.
I do. And this is really pretty slick. So you've got a combination lock. You forget the combination. You take little strips of this, wrap it around the lock, and whatever the combination is, you use the resistive color code.
Yeah, I was going to say, okay.
Isn't
that's
that
even
neat?
better than I thought. That's clever.
That's brilliant.
I like that. Another one that I picked up.
All I was going to say, Chris, is most people don't know what the different colors are. They'll just say, "Oh, it's a little rainbow lock." No, it's not. It's the resistive color code is referring to the digits for the combination for the lock itself.
That is clever. One of the things somebody told me, it must have been last year, I think, that I thought was really clever. We use a lot of those locks, the combinations, like the 4-digit code locks. And when they leave, they always set their lock to a specific code that it sits at. And that way they know the next time they come by, if anybody's been messing with the lock, the code will have changed. So like, maybe they, the code is one thing. Then when they're done, they lock it up and do like 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, they know when they come back that it should say 2, 3, 4, 5. And if it doesn't, somebody was there and messed with the lock.
That's a good
My
idea. I've
question-
seen the same thing
Huh?
where you set it all to 0, 0, 0, 0, 0,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
see what happens
Yeah.
from that.
Yeah. Good idea. Yeah. Do we have any favorite mnemonics? I think we all know the one we can't repeat. But the mnemonic to memorize the colors. And here, I was reading online, somebody said, I use an old Cub Scout code, better be right, or your great big venture goes west. Okay. And,
Wow.
and here's another one to think about. Beneath beautiful reefs, octopuses yell, go blow vapor, great whale.
Oh,
I
that's
don't even know
pretty
if
good.
I think I can remember the other things more than I remember the mnemonic. It's like, that's a little much.
Well, we can keep the cheat code in our phone now. That's
There
the
you
way
go,
to
yep.
make that happen. Yeah. All right. What's the next picture here, Suncast? Oh,
Well,
all right.
the situation here is multiple computers with them labeled, and just the fact that they're all the same. This is for their streaming stations, and the whole idea is that everything is the same. So you're not fooling around with things that are not standard. Everything is standard. You've got the IP address listed on the front. You've got the information on when the batteries were changed or anything else that you need as far as diagnostic information. And just a neat way of hooking everything up. If you're going to be doing something with outboarded computers like this, might as well make them all the same and just cut down on your maintenance.
Yeah.
I actually,
Yeah.
I do that for my streaming computers. I have a special
Do you?
model of the, little mini computer, mini size. They look like that. They're Dells. And I buy all of them. They're identical. They have the identical software load, identical, identical construction in terms of the software and configuration. And they have those labels in front. And so I actually, somewhere, I don't have it online here, I have a picture of a rack of like 6 or 7 of those in a line, just like that. Now we use Axios, so I just, they just have 2 network cables coming into them. But yeah, you're right. And that comes from, when I took over and we had, have 20 some stations, each one had their own, was it an XP machine or, whatever, just kind of off in a corner, wired willy nilly to something. And, half of them didn't work. So, in this situation, I can combine all of those. And when I get a new PC in on our file server, there's a folder that has all of the, the software we need and the configuration instructions. So yeah, I mean, that just makes something like this just makes life so much easier.
And Chris, I think what's also important here is that, yeah, back in the day when streaming first started, you put any old piece of junk computer on there, and who's listening to this? But now this streaming has gotten almost as important as your over-the-air transmitter. So you can't be using the old junk anymore. At least you shouldn't, because people aren't going to want to listen. So
Right.
standardizing on things and making sure that you've got audio processing and so forth, just really very important.
Well, it's same thing, that I ran into. Oftentimes, with stations, they take, the GM's old PC and that becomes the streaming machine because it's been sitting over
That's
in the
right.
corner. But yeah, I same thing. I put Stereo Tool on mine and I have a configuration that I go through. All of the streams sound identical. Processing is pretty much set the same, but it really is. I can send, if I have a station that has one that failed and I can't get to it, I can overnight a preloaded machine. They just plug it in and go, and it's got the same configuration as everything else. So that is, streaming is so important, and it doesn't cost that much more. Again, especially these small, they're not the Puck mini PCs, but like HP makes them, and I think Lenovo makes them, kind of mini ATX computers, and they're great.
Yeah, this is I've got a bunch of Lenovo Think Centers. They're about 7 or 8 inches square,
Yep,
and Dell
that's the
has a
one.
similar model too. And And they work great for, kind of single purpose stuff.
Oh yeah, their SSD, they're low power consumption. You can generally, and you don't need a lot of horsepower to stream. So, if you can get something with a 256 gig SSD and 8 gigs of RAM, that's it. You're done.
And that picture was really neat. And I visited a station in Hawaii that had computers just hither and yon doing the streaming, and it was the biggest Charlie Foxtrot you've seen. We ended up doing all of our 8 stations worth of streaming in Maui, all of it on literally one little Lenovo ThinkCenter computer that we paid under $200 for it. And then we bought the Telos ZipStream software, and we're streaming 8 processors, 8 streams. And of course, the only way to make that happen audio in wise is using LiveWire or some other AOIP.
Yeah.
You can't have that much sound card, right? So AOIP gets us about 16 things coming into that computer.
And how are Hither and Yon doing in the ratings these days? That morning show. Good morning, it's Hither and Yon.
Hither and Yon. Hey, we got to take a quick break, and we're we got one more picture to look at before the break. It's something with an IP address. What is what is this?
And this is just a This is just a reminder to make sure that your equipment that has IP addresses, that you've got the IP address listed on the front. In an emergency, you don't want to be searching through documentation or in the back of the unit or something like that. Take the few minutes to write it down and put it on the front. Don't scribble it with a pen. Go get yourself one of these. These Brother P touches are really inexpensive now.
Oh yeah,
and put together a label and do it upright.
Plus, those Brother P touches now, they make shrink wrap labels for wires. Isn't that cool?
That's right. That's right.
I learned about that just today. Hey, we're going to come back with a final picture that you don't want to miss. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. John's going to describe it in just a minute. Our show is brought to you in part by Angry Audio. AngryAudio.com is the website. Chris is a proud owner of an Angry Audio audio processor for his microphone. Chris, tell us all about it.
That's right, and you're listening to it right now. I have the Angry Audio Chameleon, and it's the Rebel version. And what it is, it's a mic processor that's designed specifically for the RE20. Now, they have the Rebel and they have the Smooth. The Rebel is designed for the RE27, the RE20. The 320 works with it too. And the Smooth works with the Shure SM7s and the SM5s. And the reason they're specific to the microphone is that the processor is designed to work out of the box and make that microphone sound good right out of the box without any tweaking. If you want to tweak, there are a few controls you have. There's, input gain. There's a little bit of presence gain. There's a minor EQ to it. But really, the whole point is you take it out of the box, you plug it in, and you go. And you can see there's plenty of I/O in the back. They've got XLR. They've got Studio Hub Plus. And the power supply is built in. And of course, it's, Angry Audio quality. So that's, everything is very silent. Everything says really clean. Power supply is beefy. And of course, the construction. It's just a beautiful looking box. It's rugged. It's tough. And it's so easy to use. Plug in your microphone, turn it on, and go. And then if you want to do a little bit of tweaking, you can. They have things like a noise gate, although they call it room noise, and it's some kind of Cornelius Gold black magic, how that works. It's a very cool device. It's like a noise gate, but you can't hear it working. Also, it's got a de-esser, and it's the first time I've ever used a de-esser on a mic processor, because typically it makes the high sound really, really dull. But this one is transparent. It does its job, but you don't hear it working. It's so cool. So anyway, don't spend money on a mic processor that is going to sound different from mic to mic and person to person. Get some consistency and get that good consistency. All you have to do is check out the Angry Audio Chameleon, the Rebel, and the Smooth mic processor. Again, the Rebel is for the RE series from Electro Voice. The Smooth is for the SM series from Shure. Contact your favorite vendor or go online to angryaudio.com and check it out, and you could sound as good as me.
All right. Yeah. That's my goal in life, is to sound as good as Chris. No, it actually is. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Thanks, Angry Audio.
Sure.
Our show is the show's also brought to you by Max Connect. And today I want to talk about Max Connect Wireless. And so Suncast will go find that in just a second. Max Connect Wireless has a new service that they're offering now. And that is, get a Max Connect LTE gateway. and which also has a little mini router built into it. In other words, it'll prioritize either itself or an external ISP service. So let's say you have a trade with a wireless ISP, like I do in our Mississippi stations, but maybe you're 9 hop towers away from the head end, and it's not always reliable. Well, Max Connect has this LTE router that will automatically fail over to 4G LTE, prioritized with a fixed IP address, that if your regular internet goes away, well, then you can get it from the Max Connect router from 4G. You could also do a satellite service, and you can also get that through Max Connect, have a satellite as your main LTE router from Max Connect as your backup, or even vice versa, or even trade them off depending on what your bandwidth requirements are or your caps if you have any. Point is, you can get internet at your transmitter site or at other remote sites a number of different ways, and you can prioritize which way is being used depending on your billing, your cost, your caps, all that kind of thing. And you can do that easily and automatically with the Max Connect LTE router. Max Connect Wireless was early in on this business of helping broadcasters get prioritized data. And that means they got a fixed IP address and prioritized data. You could be in a stadium full of 60,000 people. They're all doing their Facebook updates during halftime. And guess what? You have prioritized data for your remote broadcast. Same thing for your transmitter site. You get prioritized data for that. And Max Connect makes this happen among all their other services that Josh Bone and his Max Connect company is doing. Check them out, please. You're going to be happy that you got the information to make a great decision on providing internet connectivity to remote sites, and to remote broadcasts at Max Connect, MAXXKONNECT, MaxConnect.com. Thank you very much, Josh, for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. All right. It's just our last few minutes, and we've got a final picture. John, do you have a story to tell about this picture before we show it, or shall we just show it?
I think we just should show it. It's was kind of fun. This was from the Wisconsin show, as a matter of fact. This gentleman, unfortunately, I don't have a name, but he walked around the show floor with this T-shirt on, and golly, isn't it the truth?
Yes.
Well, we try not to void warranties, but I think sometimes that just happens.
Oh my goodness,
that's awesome.
Well, most of the broadcast gear that we buy don't have those stickers, warranty void if screw is removed.
They know better. Right? That's why.
They know better. That's right, Chris. Yeah. They know better.
But consumer gear often has that.
No, it's really true. That's for sure. Anyway, just a lot of fun. Neat to see.
Yeah. Let me ask you, earlier in your career, did you ever get a piece of equipment on your workbench and you're thinking, I got to open this up to see what's wrong with it, and you see that warning sign and you hesitate before you should? Am I a qualified service personnel? No, is it okay to void the warranty?
I'm all like, challenge accepted, and I dive right in.
Did you always? I mean, from day one, Chris?
Yes. I was a kid.
Really?
My parents told stories. My parents would buy me Christmas presents that were electronic. They back in, and this would have been probably 1976. My parents got me a little pocket Quiz Kids device thing, electronics. So it was really that time big deal. First day I had to take it apart. I went in and dove in and disassembled it, and that's all I did. That was my childhood, was taking things apart, and drove my parents crazy.
John, how about you? Do you remember hesitating before you? Am I a qualified service person?
Yeah, sometimes. But I fall in the same category as Chris. I took my mother's alarm clock apart, put it back together again, and there were like 6 or 7 gears that didn't make it in there, and I couldn't understand why it didn't work. So we learn.
There you go.
I tended to hesitate, but then I would think, now wait a minute, the warranty is over with. And we own the thing. It's not like it's somebody else's. So if I mess it up, it's not any worse off than it is right now, probably. So
see, my problem is I'm just as curious as I am wanting to fix it. So I open it up just because I want to see it. I want to take it apart and see what makes it tick.
That's what makes
Kurt,
you an engineer, Chris.
I think one of the important things, though, is that when you do that you do it in some sort of a logical manner. One of my first chief engineers that I worked under was colorblind, and Continental had this gigantic, I believe it was a filament voltage regulator that had like 50 wires going into it, and they were all different colors. Oh, I'll remember where the colors go. Well, red went to blue, and blue went to orange, and green went to this, and he turned the thing on, the smoked the entire thing, and it was like, holy smokes, man.
Oh,
So seeing that, you realize, no, you take the green wire off and you mark down green goes to terminal 5. You take the blue
Right.
wire off, that goes to terminal 6. Yeah, it takes a couple of seconds, but don't trust your memory, especially at 3 in the morning. And that's probably one
well,
of the best tips
yeah.
of the day, huh?
Well, of course,
Yes.
now we have these devices for short, medium, and long-term memory, and they look like this, right?
Yeah, I do that.
And-
And I'll tell you what, I do that all the time. I take pictures of things as I disassemble them,
Yeah.
so I can go
There you
back and
go.
reference them. Or even in places where you can't really see, I can usually get my phone up in there,
Yeah.
get a picture, and
Yeah.
see what see what's going on.
Good point. Good point. Exactly. Gentlemen, we're out of time. Thank you so much. John, thank you for joining us and being our guest. I really appreciate you. I've seen you
my
twice in
pleasure.
1 week, and next week I'm going to get my fill of you at NAB.
Oh boy, you're not kidding. That's for sure. Hey, and Kirk, before we leave, a real quick tip of the day. So we're coming
yeah.
up on the end of the first quarter. If you haven't done your quarterly tower inspection, make sure that you do that and wait another week and then do
Yeah.
the next quarter's tower inspection. But these are things that are still of the FCC rules. You still have to do them. Make sure that you get to your transmitter site and fill out the necessary paperwork for that.
I just do mine at midnight on March 31st and write it down for both quarters.
There you go.
We're not going to tell anybody.
11:59 and 12:01.
There
That's
you
right.
go.
That's right. Oh my gosh. And John, to submit suggestions to you for your workbench, where would people need to submit those?
Just my personal email, JOHN, the letter P as in Paul, BISSET, John P. Bissett at gmail.com. And if you
Okay.
forget that or don't have the ability to write it down, it's listed in the back of each Radio World column. So you'll be able
Okay.
to find it there. So just search Radio World Workbench on the internet and you can get the information.
Cool. Good deal. And Chris, where will the sheriff find you this week?
Hopefully not too far away. I got a lot of stuff going on. If everything stays running, I hopefully will be working on my 3D printer and some paperwork and stuff. Otherwise, I don't know where I'll be. It could be anywhere.
All right. Could be anywhere. Probably a transmitter site or a studio.
Likely, yes.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you, Chris, for being with us. It's always good to see you, man. Thank you for showing up and appreciate you being here. We got to go. Thanks to Suncast. Sorry, Suncast, we're a minute and a half past our allotted time. I really appreciate you. Thanks for running the controls, and we'll see the rest of you next week on This Week in Radio Tech. Bye-bye.